Well, today we're going to crack the code on the most common medical test you'll probably ever take, the complete blood count, or CBC. This is the frontline report on your health, and trust me, by the end of this, you'll know exactly what it's trying to tell you. Right? You get that piece of paper from your doctor, and it's just this wall of acronyms, RBC, MCV, HCT. You feel like you need a secret decoder ring just to figure out what's going on in your own body. Well, consider this your official decoder ring. At its heart, the whole point of a CBC is actually beautifully simple. Think of it like a quick head count, a census check, just to see how the three major teams of cells are doing inside your bloodstream. So who are these players? Who are these teams? Let's dive in and meet the three crews that make up every single drop of your blood. Okay, first up, you've got your red blood cells, or RBCs. These are your delivery trucks, constantly cruising around, dropping off oxygen wherever it's needed. Then you have the white blood cells, the WBCs. This is your personal security team, your body's bouncers fighting off any infections. If that number is high, your body is probably in the middle of a fight. And finally, you have platelets. These are the emergency medics, the first responders who rush to the scene to form clots and stop bleeding. So you've got delivery, security, and emergency response. Simple, right? All right, now let's zoom in a little bit on the most detailed part of the whole report, the red blood cell story. This is where most of those super confusing acronyms live, but I promise, each one tells a really crucial part of the tale. First, you have the basics, which are all about quantity. The RBC count, well, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's the total number of your delivery trucks. Hemoglobin, or HB, that measures the amount of the actual oxygen-carrying protein that's packed onto those trucks. And hematocrit, HCT, that just tells you what percentage of your blood's total volume is made up of these red cells. But here's where it gets really interesting. A CBC doesn't just count your cells. No, it also tells you about their quality. We're talking the size, the shape, the characteristics of each individual cell. So let's look at the first measure of quality, MCV, which stands for mean corpuscular volume. This isn't about the total number of cells, it's all about the average size of each one. So going back to our analogy, are your delivery trucks standard sized, or are they kind of small, or maybe even too big? And that's exactly the story MCV tells. A low MCV, which doctors call microcytic, means your cells are smaller than they should be, and that can be a big clue for things like an iron deficiency. A high MCV, or macrocytic, means they're larger than average, which might point towards certain vitamin deficiencies. See? The size of the truck tells a very specific story. Next up is MCC, or mean corpuscular hemoglobin. Now remember how total hemoglobin was the total oxygen-carrying stuff. Well, MCH tells you the average amount of that hemoglobin that's packed into each individual cell. It's a measure of how well equipped each one of your little delivery trucks is for its job. And finally, there's RDW, red cell distribution width. This one is all about consistency. It measures the variation in the size of your red blood cells. A low RDW is great. It means your cells are all pretty much the same uniform size. But a high RDW means you've got a real mix of small cells and large cells running around. Okay, so we've got all these different acronyms. But here is the secret that makes this entire thing just click into place. These numbers aren't all separate, independent measurements. Nope. A lot of them are actually calculated from each other. And this is the part that honestly simplifies everything. The lab analyzer, the machine that does the test, it only directly measures a few core things, like your total hemoglobin and your RBC count. Then it just uses some simple math to calculate a bunch of the others, like your hematocrit, your MCV, and your MCH. Let me show you exactly what I mean. That MCH value we talked about, the amount of hemoglobin per cell, it isn't some mysterious measurement the lab pulls out of thin air. It's calculated with a surprisingly simple formula. You just take the total hemoglobin, multiply it by 10 to get the units right, and then divide that by the total number of red blood cells. That's it. So let's run through a quick example with some pretty typical numbers and see how this works in real life. Okay, so let's say your report shows your hemoglobin is 15 and your red blood cell count is 5. So we just plug those right into the formula. 15 times 10 is 150, and you divide that by 5, which gives you 30 picograms. That's your MCH. It wasn't measured on its own. It was derived from two other numbers to reveal a deeper part of the story. See? No secret decoder ring needed after all.
And this is why it's so powerful to understand what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, the machines do all the math automatically these days, but our source material puts it perfectly. Understanding how these formulas work gives you a much, much deeper insight into what the report is actually telling you. So, okay, let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway? What should you remember the next time you're looking at your own CBC report?
Just remember these 3 simple steps. First, find your 3 main teams, your red cells, your white cells, and your platelets. Step 2, for each of those teams, look at both the quantity, how many there are, and the quality, things like size and variation. And third, always remember that these numbers tell an interconnected story, where some values are actually calculated from others.
So, at the end of the day, your CBC report isn't just some intimidating list of data. Once you know the language, it becomes this powerful, dynamic snapshot of the incredible microscopic world that's buzzing around inside your own body.
So the next time you get that report in your hands, take a look and ask yourself, what story is my blood telling me?